right, so we're back. February 6th, 2020, Haley Grigsby. All right, so I will send you that a harpist. She played harp and sings with a little group, like guitar and something, what all else, I don't remember what it was, and this song that I was like, oh, must sing this song, must learn this song, must sing it, and but I'll send it to you because I thought it's so inspiring. That's like outside the box, right?
Mm-hmm.
Singing with a harp.
Yes.
Like just, I don't know, it's not your everyday, thing. And she's big on YouTube, like, so she's, so anyways, I'll send it to you, you can listen to it. But there's lots to do and explore with your voice. And I'm sure you'll hear many things that are kind of inspire you to explore different things. Okay, so now what I want to do is get a little bit of an idea of, there's a few things I'm going to be getting the idea of when I have you do this. Okay, so this is your first warm-up exercise. Now it starts as a warm-up exercise, and then we use it for a lot of things. It's also a mental, it's a mental exercise too. So lots of things we're going to use this for. Don't let its simplicity fool you, okay?
Never.
So it's called the fire engine, and I teach it to all my students the first day because I use it in so many different ways, and I want to make sure that it gets on here. How about, would you be fine, sitting on that, and then I'll face you and the video. So here is the fire engine. I'll demonstrate it, and then I'll talk you through a few things about it, and then if you want me to do it again, I can. Otherwise, you can jump in. So a couple of things. One is I'm going as low as I can go today, to as high as I can go today, back to as low as I can go today. I didn't quite make it all the way down. In a smooth arch, and I want you to think rainbow, and that's an important aspect. We'll get to that in just a second. Smooth arch, humming. Okay, so that's one thing. So low to high to low, humming in one breath. Those are the three guidelines at the beginning.
Okay.
And so what we learn from this are a number of things. I mean, first of all, you're warming up your voice. You're kind of saying hello to every pitch your body can make at that moment, and every, which also reveals to you how your breath is coordinated that day. So like, are you kind of in touch with how your breath is supporting you? All these kinds of things, okay? So the rainbow is the picture of symmetry that I want you to have in your head when you're doing it. So you want to strive for symmetry. So the same ride up the ride up should reflect the ride down. So it should look like a bell curve, more or less. And what that tells you is how well you planned your breath.
Gotcha.
Okay? So, because if we take a long ride up and then go, because you're about to run out of breath. So your objective is to run out of breath. Okay, you want to use your entire breath. I want you to make your hum last as long as your breath is there for you. And so that is what you are listening to yourself, you're feeling everything, you're paying attention, and you are striving for these three things: low to high to low, symmetrically, humming in one breath. Okay? So do you want me to do it again, or do you want to jump in?
I just had a quick question.
Yeah.
So is it all one breath going up and down?
Yeah, all the way through. So you want to get low to high to low in one breath. And at the beginning, it may feel like this. It may be this. It may be. Because that fulfills all the requirements. That's low to high to low, humming in one breath, and it was symmetrical. So those are the things you want to be looking for. How long it lasts to me in the beginning doesn't matter as much as, it's kind of like when you go to a fitness trainer or you listen, I use fitness trainers on YouTube, and they're like, form, 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 focus on the form. And that's what you want to focus on, not, and probably the biggest thing about the form is trying to get it to be in one breath while still following the guidelines.
Gotcha.
So.
Okay.
Want to do it?
I can give it a shot.
All right, give it a shot. And it's a learning process. This is an instructive, like everything, Haley, every exercise is instructive. There's no exercise ever that should be boring. Yes, scales are boring, but they are accomplishing something for you. They're helping you with runs. They're helping you understand your breath. They're getting they're training your ear. So for me, every exercise, well, first of all, I assign it a purpose when I give it to you. But there's no exercise ever. It's just kind of like, I don't know if your mom ever said this to you, but like, you have no reason to be bored. There's nothing to be bored. If you're bored, go clean something, you know? So, all right, so let's hear it. Give it a shot.
I'm nervous.
You want me to do one with you?
No. I think I just need to get my pitch.
The beginning is going to feel gravelly because you're going at the, and mine was too, and it was gravelly at the other end too.
I can't. Okay, maybe you do need to go with me.
Do it. Oh, happy to.
I
I do it with a lot of students the first couple times. Here we go. You kind of start us out so I can hear what your pitch is, and I'll kind of go along with you.
Okay.
Support. Okay. All right. That was fairly successful. Okay, that's good. So now, over the course of time, I mean, that was successful because you went up, you went down. Did you hear your voice came out? You know, your what, and all that. That's a physical phenomenon. That's not like there's something wrong with me mentally. Like it is that your vocal folds were not meeting as you were still continuing to pass air through them. It could be that you were. It's either that or it's that you were holding them shut and there wasn't air coming out. I wasn't close enough to hear whether there was still air flowing or whether you were just kind of holding your breath here at your vocal cords.
I don't really know.
I know. Well, I know. And that is so. Now, I have a question for you. You can help me learn because this is what I would do. What I would do in a typical situation is I would start you on making observations. Now, and what I mean by that is you do a fire engine and then you make 3 observations about what just happened. Not judgments, not condemnation, just observations. Meaning, I did that fire engine and I heard my voice kind of clip out for a little segment at the top. End of observation. There's no like, so I must have been, or
Gotcha.
that means none of that. You're just collecting data. So now, here's my question for you specifically. Right now, at this point in your healing process, is doing that kind of analysis going to be too much in your head? Like, because we could do just a couple weeks where you just do the dang exercise and you just do it and we'll start making observations down the line.
Honestly, probably I probably shouldn't do the alterations right now.
Okay.
Because I overthink
That's what-
everything.
That's what I was like.
And then I get stuck in my head.
Yeah, it's fine. So when you do it, just do them. So here's the thing, just do 3 of these a day.
Okay.
Okay? If you can do 3 in the morning, 3 at night, even better.
Okay.
And just do them and let your voice start coming out in a way that I've asked you to have it come out, right?
Gotcha.
And you're doing it at home so you don't feel the pressure of performing for me. I feel like it is going to come pretty quickly at home once you're once you're in your safe space. Now, I would like for you to try to do one more for me right now, for me to listen and observe before we move on to the next thing.
It's finally cool enough for me to drink.
I know. I have 2 little girls, and they don't tolerate hot. Like for them, hot chocolate is like out of the refrigerator. So the other day, they asked me to make hot chocolate, and I said sure. And then I left, and they were supposed to get their chores done. It was a Saturday morning. They were supposed to have chores before screen time, and they were watching videos until their hot chocolate cooled. Well, it took 2 hours for the hot chocolate to cool, so they got in trouble. Anyways, all right. Okay, so one more fire engine before we're gonna move on.
Alright. I always get off. I don't understand the form. I think it's just intimidating because I've never tried to sound like a fire
Like a rainbow.
I think I'm trying to go high faster than
Then
needs to be done.
yes. So okay, then stop calling it a fire engine. Call it a rainbow.
Okay.
Because maybe the semantics will help you wrap your mind around it. And don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Let me do another one with you, okay? And just, I think part of it is just doing it, loosening up your voice, and feeling more comfortable with me, and feeling just doing it. Once you've done it several times, I'm suspecting you're probably gonna be like, okay, I got this now.
Okay.
All right, so you kind of start us off, and I'll join in with you and provide scaffolding. Success! Fulfilled all the requirements. I don't know if that's as high as you go, probably not, because you went a lot higher, you went like twice as high. But it might be as high as you could do that exercise this moment, okay? So now I call that a success because it was pretty symmetrical.
Okay.
Your voice stayed in there for the whole time, and you did it. That's why it's a success. Let's do one more to kind of cement that like, yes, let's feel good about ourselves for a second here. Start us out, and I'll join. Great. So now, when you're doing it this week, just a little higher.
Okay.
A little higher. But start with the small successes. Don't try to go for like your full range the first time. If the first time you do it, your voice drops out and you feel panicky about it, whatever, just go back to the small successes and then slowly, and I'm talking about possibly over like today, I just did 3 small successes. And then tomorrow, see if you can do it a little bit more. And then the next day, so we're talking possibly development over days. It could be that the first day you feel comfortable and you're good. And it all comes out there and you're like, I know that was my whole range, okay? But it might not be, that's okay. Start with the small successes. So now the thing, let me just give you a little encouragement, and I know that you probably already know this because you became a choir snob. There are people who come to me that initially, it takes them weeks to even make a a small success with that. But they sing, like they're usually, a lot of people are like karaoke, like they love doing karaoke and they do all the time, or maybe they sing in a choir or something. So for all of us, that's why the simplicity, it's simple, but not always easy. And it's extremely instructive. So yeah, anyway, you're in good company and it's all gonna be good. Now, I believe that one of the things that could help, well, it helps all my students, but I don't normally start it till about a month in, where we're doing, I've given students a bunch of exercises. But I kind of think that I might start with you on understanding your breathing, your respiratory apparatus, the whole, and the singing instrument. Understanding it, understanding how it works, and working toward a foundation that really gives you a stable sense of vocal support. The reason for that I think I might want to jump in with you on that sooner, is because there is very much a real sense in which, and I'm just projecting this, but like it gives me a very real sense of physical support and foundation that affects me mentally and emotionally. I feel much more prepared, I feel much more grounded, and I feel much more in control of my breath. So I'm thinking, that would probably benefit you. So, and especially, this is super helpful for asthmatics. So I don't know if you're still face that, if you're still on inhalers or whatever.
Yes.
So this is, and I don't, like, you talked about having bronchitis, or whatever it was, bronchitis for an important audition. And Lord knows I've been there. I was the sickest person. I was sick more than 6 months out of the year. As a professional singer, it was murderous. I mean, it was just very, very difficult. And when my husband looked at me 3 years ago and goes, "You are the sickest person I've ever, like the sickest well person I've ever met." And I was like, you know, you're right. And so I was like, I gotta go to a nutritionist because I don't know what else to do. Like, I've tried all these medicines and blah, blah, blah. So this breathing exercise, I take the basic form of it from a woman named Jeannie Diva, who I took lessons from in Boston. She is not the first person that I learned it from. I learned it from a woman in Maryland named Margaret Riddleberger, who's now, actually they both passed. But Margaret Riddleberger had 8 students on Broadway. And yeah, and a large part of her student success and her own longevity, when I went to her, she was, I'm gonna guess, she had fully white hair. She was super youthful, but looked old. You're like, okay, there's no doubt about it. You're not 50. You're definitely in like your middle, like maybe 75. So that's what I'm gonna guess. She could have been older, but looked younger. She still sang. She stood there and sang a phrase for me that was really long. And I mean, she was an opera singer when she was younger and trained tons of Broadway stars and whatever. She taught me this same support technique, but I didn't know it. I didn't recognize it as such at the time. It wasn't until I took the lessons from Jeannie and Jeannie published this sequence of the kind of the whole like understanding the anatomy and the whole sequence of breathing things, which there's only 3, which is nice and simple. That I was like, that's what I was learning from Ms. R. Okay, so it's not it's not a contemporary method, but it's been around for a long time. Now, I was gonna tell you, this breath support technique saved my rear end many times, because I was sick, like all the time, and it really seemed like anytime I had a big performance, there was stress leading up to it. When I got stressed, I got every germ, and I would get sick, it would go straight to my head, I get a sinus infection, then I go straight to my chest, and I got, bronchitis.
That's happened to me once or twice.
So now you're young. That didn't start happening to me till my mid-20s. But we can talk about that because I have ways that I've learned to manage that, prevention, all kinds of stuff. But we can talk about it. I don't know that I would start implementing anything right now, but because there've been a lot of lifestyle choices I had to make. But anyways, super duper, really great, and this is why I've used this with my asthmatic students, because I started using it. I was like, oh, really? You have asthma? Let's try this like sooner than later, because this got me through an entire benefit concert when I had absolutely no voice and I was 4 months into bronchitis. Right? So it was I am a firm believer in this technique. Now, all that, but having said all that, I'm going to give you the tools, and it's up to you to use them, right? So you find what works for you and use that, okay? So if this works for you, awesome. But if I don't teach it to you, you won't know it, and you won't know whether it works for you or not. And I did not know the full benefit of it for about 10 years after learning it and starting to use it, because I really didn't get super sick until my 40s. All right, so I would like to hear you sing whatever song it is you have in your back pocket, and then we'll go into, I'm going to start teaching you breathing exercise number 1. I'm going to explain some stuff about your apparatus before you go. Okay, so
I know a million songs, and anytime I'm asked that question, it's
I can't remember the first line. Yes.
It's just completely blank as
Yeah.
to what do I sing all the time? What do I do?
Well, I've got some stuff here. This is all like folk stuff. There are hymns, there's folk songs, there's like, it's kind of old. It was published in the late 80s or early 90s or something. You need to see if something strikes your fancy. I mainly keep method books up here, so I don't really have some repertoire stuff here. And like I said, if nothing else, happy birthday, Star Spangled Banner.
I'm just, because I'm nervous, I'm thinking I'm going to forget the words, but I have one or two, I think.
Good.
I'm going to go with She Used to Be Mine. I just love that song.
Okay.
Okay.
If you want to face away from me, feel free. You want to sing to show? She's very calm.
I just didn't realize how uncomfortable I am, like, standing, and I don't know.
Do you want to sit? You lose a lot of your vocal support when you sit, but it doesn't mean you can't do it. If you'll just keep your chest up, this would be better than that, because that will sink down. You can try that.
Would that be better?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Put it where you want it. Sit whatever way facing you want to sit.
It's not simple to say. I can't even remember.
Can't remember the words? You want me to find the words for you?
That would be great.
Find something that has.
I think I'm finding it. No,
Wonder what my daughter's been dreaming about.
I think my mom does that too whenever my name's on or my sister is.
Absolutely. Okay, so why don't you just type in whatever the song is and whatnot. Oh, you got the gloves on.
It's okay.
Then I can also, you can speak it in.
She Used to Be Mine, Jesse Mueller lyrics. That's it. difficult to say that most days I don't recognize me, that these shoes and this apron, that place and its patrons have taken more than I gave them. It's not easy to know how not anything like I used to be, although it's true I was never attention sweet center. I still remember that girl. She's imperfect, but she tries. She is good, but she lies. She is hard on herself. She is broken and won't ask for help. She is messy, but she's kind. She is lonely most of the time. She is all of this mixed up and baked in a beautiful pie. She is gone, but she used to be mine. It's not what I asked for. Sometimes life just slips in through a back door and carves out a person and makes you believe it's all true. And now I've got you. You're not what I asked for. If I'm honest, I know I would give it all back for a chance to start over and rewrite an ending or two for that girl that I knew who was reckless just enough, who'll get hurt, but who learns how to toughen up when she's bruised and gets used by a man who can't love. And then she'll get stuck and be scared of the life that's inside her, growing stronger each day, till it painfully reminds her to fight just a little, to bring back the fire in her eyes that's been gone, but used to be mine. Oh, used to be mine. She's messy, but she's kind. She's lonely most of the time. She is all of this mixed up and baked in a beautiful pie. She's gone, but she used to be mine.
That's so pretty.
Oof.
Do you feel like that tells your story?
Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
I can tell. That's so much of so many women do. Like, but it's written by a man? Or
I think it's written by Sarah Bareilles. It's Waitress the musical.
oh, okay.
Yes.
So Jessie Muller is the performer.
The Broadway actress.
Got it. Okay. Oh, that was really pretty. Oh yeah. Okay, I see. I never saw that. Very pretty, very nice, very expressive. Okay. The breathing exercises for you, seriously. So I think that is gonna be one of your major keys for kind of getting back your confidence, because your pitch is fine. You have great placement, so like you understand innately. I don't know whether you know what you're doing yet, why it's happening, but you understand how to place vowels, and whether head or chest voice, and you move fluidly between them. So I don't have to like help you find your head voice. I don't have to, you know, there's already there. And you have you don't go into like a female version of falsetto. You know how to stylistically use either your full head voice or a thinner, wispier version of it. So those are great tools in your toolbox. Anyways, I would definitely want to start with breathing exercise. So let's do that.
Okay.
And let's begin, and you can stay there, okay? Because I'm going to demonstrate. So I started yesterday guinea pigging on one of my students. I was like, "You're the first person I've ever done this with." He's been taking for a couple weeks, and I was like, "Okay, it's time to start your, you know, respiratory and vocal education about your anatomy." But I've never taught the exercise as I taught the anatomy. I always taught the anatomy so they'd understand the process. Then I taught the exercise.
Gotcha.
So I told him yesterday he was going to be my guinea pig, and it seemed to work. So I'd like to do that with you today. All right. So I'm going to have you move right back over there so I can be in the video again, and you can stay comfortable. So first we'll talk about today. What we'll get through is a very quick look at what is the respiratory process. This is not the vocal process as relates to the respiratory process. We're just going to talk about respiration for a second. So we're going to understand an inhale and an exhale, and that's going to be about all we get through today.
Okay.
All right, and then I'm going to show you breathing exercise number 1. Okay. So let me show. I'm going to reverse that.
Okay.
I said I'm trying to show people what we're going for, and then explain what's happening. Okay, so here we go. This is breathing exercise number 1, and there are only 3. Quiet. Okay, so that's 3 of them. So that's 3 repetitions. Doesn't look like much. Again, it's simple. This is simple. This is both simple and easy. Okay, so it gets harder with the second and third one. Because this one, what we're doing is we are manually inhaling and exhaling. All right, so to talk you through the exercise itself, so you can be doing it this week. You know what, maybe we'll do that because we're really getting to be done, and if my next student shows up, she'll be here any minute.
Okay.
She didn't show up last week, so we'll see. But my palms are facing slightly outward, my arms are straight but not locked, and I've just got my chest up, my knees are not locked. Okay, so I bring my arms up to about shoulder height, bring them forward like I'm gonna dive into a pool. So if this is a 90-degree angle, this is approximately 45. And from the very beginning and all the way through, I have my mouth open, not like dropped jaw, just open so air can flow through. And so I'm up like this, and I hold it, and I'm just listening to the seconds tick on the clock. And I listen to 6, and then I bring them back down.
So there's no magic thing about, it's not, yeah, it's just, you're just getting your arms up there, okay? But I do go up and then around like that rather than like this. And the reason for that is physical. What we're doing is our arms are lifting the lats, because the latissimus dorsi is attached here on the shoulder, and then it's attached to the rib cage. And what we're doing is we are pulling up the rib cage. When we pull up the rib cage, it sets off a chain of events, which is the respiratory process. We're just manually breathing rather than letting the autonomic breath process go on. So lift up. When I lift up like this, hold it for my 6 seconds. I'm not holding it here. This is key. Not holding my breath like that. It's being held here. So my arms are up here. The air is being held in here in my lungs because I'm holding my diaphragm in a certain way. Okay? Then I let it all out. The lats let the rib cage fall, and the rib cage lets the diaphragm go back to its position. So what you don't know yet, and what we'll cover next week, is what is happening with the diaphragm and the lungs. What does that process look like? How is the inhale happening, the exhale happening, and stuff like that. But for right now, come and do one breathing exercise. Just do a couple of repetitions for me, and then I don't want that guy to be like, leave like right when you're done.
He won't.
Okay.
I have an appointment right after this down the road, so
Oh, very nice.
hopefully he stays. Okay. I'm trying to be less stiff and it's not
That's quite all right. So we have our arms out to the side, mouth is open in a relaxed way, arms go up and out and around, and then you should feel air flowing in through your mouth. Okay? Let me sit there for 6 seconds, which has been about this long, and we bring them back down. Let it go up. You won't feel it as much on the way out. You'll feel it more on the way in, but it's going out. Okay, so let's do a couple more. Awesome. You got it. That's good.
I like that.
It's 30 times a day. You can do 10, 10, 10 throughout the day, or you can do 10, wait a minute, 10, wait a minute, 10, wait a minute, however you want to space it out. You can do more than 30, doesn't matter. But try not to do fewer than 30.